Yeah, we really started Omnichannel from the get-go. People originally thought, okay, that's maybe spreading out your strategies too much. And it's funny because now it's the go-to. Like everybody needs to be Omnichannel.
Welcome to the E-Comm Show podcast. I am your host, Andrew Maff, owner and founder of BlueTuskr. From groundbreaking industry updates to success stories and strategies, get to know the ins and outs of the e-commerce industry from top leaders in the space. Let's get into it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the E-Comm Show. I am your host, as usual, Andrew Maff, and today I am joined by the amazing Cherie Hoeger, who is the founder, CEO over at Saalt. Cherie, how you doing? You ready for a good show?
Doing great. Yeah, excited to be here.
I'm super excited to have you on the show. Your background's crazy. You gave us a little bit of insight into some stuff I'm very excited to talk about. This is going to be a great one. I always like to kind of get into this stuff relatively stereotypically, just to kind of set the tone and give you the floor. Just tell us a little bit about like yourself, how you got started with Saalt, and then we're going to take it from there.
Yeah, so we started with Saalt in 2018, so we're about 7 years old. So consider ourselves really a teenage company. And before that, I had been a technical writer. I'd done some e-commerce ventures, importing items from Brazil and selling them online. And we really got, well, I say we because it's my husband and who is my co-founder. And we really got started because I was having a conversation with his aunt in Venezuela, and my mom's from Argentina, so we both come from Latin heritage. And she was describing how difficult the situation was there. She wasn't able to obtain any personal care items on store shelves. And that's when I looked into reusable options for personal care and was introduced to period cups and underwear for the first time and thought, how come I'm a grown woman? I was in my 30s at that time and had never seen these products before. And I thought, where have these been my whole life? And I tried them and was just blown away that they were healthier for my body, that they're better for the environment, they were higher performing. I would forget that I was on my period. And I thought, okay, these not only need to go to my family in Venezuela, but this really needs to get out to the mainstream consumer. I wanted to introduce it to my family and friends. And that was how we started Saalt. That was the idea. We wanted to create products that would be adopted by the mainstream US consumer and create a brand that also felt very approachable and that felt like kind of like your best friend's older sister in its voice and tone, somebody that's approachable that you could speak to.
So at that time, did you think, because there were products on the market, as you mentioned, but like not a lot of people knew about them. Do you think it was like a messaging problem, or like why do you think that originally it just never took off?
Yeah, we were very deliberate about how we created our brand from the get-go. So we saw two extremes in the marketplace at the time. There were a lot of brands that would rely on like pinks and purples and flowers, and women twirling in white dresses. And this was feminine hygiene. And this was a feminine hygiene aisle. It was like hot pink, right? And then you had these newer brands that kind of relied on like blood and body parts for shock value. And we were saying nobody was talking to that middle mainstream consumer. And so we really positioned our brand to cater to me, the educated woman. I have 5 daughters. I wanted them to just see something that was elevated. I'm very sustainably minded. And, I wanted to see something different. My favorite color is blue. And so we made sure that our packaging and everything was a little bit more neutral and also reflected the natural landscape because periods are a natural cycle. So it really resonated with consumers. And then we also were very deliberate in our voice and our brand voice. And that's why I mentioned the best friend's older sister. We wanted to be down to earth. We wanted to be in the know, but also savvy. And when you're a girl, you don't want to talk to necessarily your mom because she's ancient at the time. And then your peers, well, you might be getting your period before your peers, but that best friend's older sister, now she's cool, she's savvy, she's someone you can rely on. And so that's kind of how we positioned our voice and actually gave it a name.
Gotcha. Okay. And it's it never ceases to amaze me. It's always the most obvious when entrepreneurs like yourself not only come up with a great idea, but it's an idea that helps a lot of people and is obviously clearly also a hole in the market. But outside of that, I believe you're also a B Corp, correct?
That's right. We're a certified B Corp, which is a certification given by B Lab out of California. And it just measures the social and environmental performance of a company. Make sure that you're not greenwashing, right?
Interesting. So what made you kind of go that route?
Yeah, it's something that we wanted to do from the get-go. So we certified in our second year of business. We knew that's what the route we wanted to go on. And that's because we really wanted to walk the walk. And, what better way to do that than to actually have that validated by a third party? And so really trying to lean into sustainable ethical practices in everything that we do. And then we also have our 1% give back mission to end period poverty across the world. So we donate 1% of our revenue in three major pillars, and that's to donate our products, to women and girls with the most need around the world, and then also fund scholarships for girls, and then focus on environmental sustainability efforts.
Wow. Okay. That that makes it's really interesting. Why do you think that more businesses don't do that? Because it seems like that to me that would be like a no-brainer.
Well, it is costly, and then you do
Oh,
have to
well,
go through a pretty extensive audit process. I mean, the you can earn up to 200 points, but you have to have a passing grade of 80 in order to be able to be certified B Corp. And that's
gotcha.
difficult to get. Like we
Yeah.
had 93 in our previous certification. We've certified 3 times now. This last one I think was 83 or 85. And that's what we're doing, right? So it's a tough
Yeah.
certification.
Still pretty cool that you guys have been consistently certified. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
tell me, let's talk a little bit about the business. Where obviously you have your own website. Where else are you selling besides your own website right now?
Yeah, we really started Omnichannel from the get-go, and I think that
Mm,
people originally thought, okay, that's maybe spreading out your strategies too much. And it's funny because now it's the go-to. Like everybody needs to be Omnichannel, so we're
yeah.
glad that we started out that way when a lot of e-commerce was just focused on D2C only, and that has really shifted. So we are on our website, and that leads our revenues. And then we have Amazon, and then we're also in retail, and that kind of splits evenly 50-50 for. So we have those 3 different pillars, and it's great. Amazon is a really great discovery channel.
Hmm.
Amazon is also, there's a lot of pros and cons, as anyone who's on Amazon knows. Very
Yeah.
difficult to work with, but great discovery channel. And then also we consider retail that as well. So we are in Walmart stores. We've been in all Target stores nationwide with our cup. We've expanded into, Walgreens and Nordstrom and Whole Foods and all these places because that's where people are buying their feminine hygiene right now. And so it's like a billboard, right? A
Yeah.
shelf billboard for your brand. So we were able to get into all Target stores nationwide in our second year of business. It was a huge win for us and really put us on the map early on.
Nice. I love everything you just said. I am such a big omni-channel fan. I get annoyed when I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, we just focus like here." Like, why? That's such a bad move. So so many questions about it. Uh also, I have to say, love that you stated Amazon is a great discovery channel. I agree. Great for new customer acquisition. Outside of that, meh,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
fantastic.
exactly. You
So
can't own the journey, right? You can't own the journey.
exactly.
You
You
can't
can't
you don't
own
own
you
the
don't own
debt. You
anything.
can't get the repeat. I know. They won't let you.
So your so the omni-channel approach, one of the biggest things I always have a question because I feel like every entrepreneur likes to look at it differently. From a marketing perspective, when you're selling on so many different channels, especially when you're retail, you can't really control foot traffic. You can't really have like be able to paint that picture. So at what point from your marketing perspective are you evaluating what's actually working and what's not? Because, you could be running ads on a TikTok and they go to Amazon or they go to store. And so it's like, it's kind of difficult to look at it. You have to look at it a little bit more traditionally, like people used to do like back in the day when it was just TV and radio. So what's your approach to it?
Yeah, I mean, we do run ads directly on Amazon. We went through a lot of agencies
Yeah,
and finally landed on an incredible agency who has just grown us year over year, and it's been amazing. So,
good.
what we have found generally, attribution is hard, right?
Oh yeah.
It's really tough, and what I think most brands find is you should be doing something on all platform, and all of that has a halo effect on Amazon. It has a halo effect for all your other platforms. It's like we do lives on TikTok, and we can talk about that later on too, or we get into a new retail store, or we have a really great days on social with a big campaign, and we see those halo effects everywhere. But yeah, attribution is one of the most difficult things we deal with in our business,
Mm.
especially when you're running campaigns, and it can be on your website, it could be all across the board.
Let's talk about the live on TikTok now. Let's have at it. We don't have to wait. How's that working for you? I hear so many pros and cons and like some people love it, others hate it. How's it? It sounds like it's working well for you. What's your approach to it?
Yeah, no, it has. So we do run ads on TikTok Shop. That's a little bit hit or miss. We were on TikTok Shop. It took us a while to get there because we
Hmm.
were a period care company with underwear, and we're talking about anatomies and so forth, and we were banned for some time. So we're really, really glad that TikTok was able to look at us as a viable business and then actually leaned into us. We're very excited about launching as one of the first period care brands on TikTok
Good.
Shop. And right now, we are the best selling period care brand on TikTok Shop. And there's a few reasons why. And that's mostly because we've leaned into live selling. So our TikTok numbers as far as engagement are pretty standard across the board with others, but our live selling has really just gone through the roof. And that's because people have a lot of doubts in their customer journey. Our customer journey is a lot longer than others for impulse buys, right? They're usually hearing it from a friend. Word of mouth is huge for us. So they hear it on social, they hear it from a friend. It takes like 7 touch points for people to finally make the jump to do some behavior change and try a reusable product that's scary for people. They look at something like this and they're like, how's that going to fit? How do I use that? Is that going to get stuck inside me? That looks so big. And I always tease, well, it's not as big as a baby's head. So yeah, it fits in there and it works. But it's all these questions that people have, right? And the beauty of live selling is that we can answer all those questions in real time, and you take somebody from
Yeah.
discovery or exploration to purchase behavior in just one question or two questions. And so as we started exploring those platforms, and we were exploring all sorts of platforms, like what's working, and it's been one of our biggest wins. And as we started to see success there, we actually hired part-timers to come in and just focus on live selling and do it in the evening hours, which is our best time. And so we'll have 1 to 2 hour sessions of just live selling, and we can make a couple $1,000s in a session, which is great. And
Yeah.
then you just duplicate that over and over.
Is your e-commerce business experiencing falling revenue? BlueTuskr has helped many brands like yours excel. Unlike other marketing partners, BlueTuskr leverages a team of specialists to ensure every strategy is created and executed toward your business growth. As an extension of your marketing team, BlueTuskr prides itself on helping to fill in the gaps and develop strong omnichannel strategies to diversify your business from the rest. Ready to scale your marketing initiatives? Visit their website, BlueTuskr.com. That's BLUETUSKR.com.
And are you, so obviously from your perspective, well, actually, this is an interesting question. They're not technically marketed as a reusable product, but I imagine you have repeat purchasers that come back and purchase multiple other things. Am I right?
Yeah, they do, and we do technically, yes, market them as reusables for sure.
Yeah.
So like these can be reused for 10 years. They can last 10 years, which is incredible. Like for people who are buying tampons, who are looking at affordability, it's an incredible play to be in the $30 price range for something like this that saves you thousands of dollars over the lifespan.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered your question.
No, so you did. So
Well,
if
you're talking about repeat.
yeah, if you're doing lives, or obviously you mentioned, Amazon's a great discovery channel. So how are you focusing more on obviously like the LTV as opposed to just because like a couple $1,000s to do live in a matter of an hour or two, if those are all net new customers, that's awesome. Because then I
Yeah.
imagine if they're coming back over and over again, that compounds over time. So how are you kind of looking at that?
Yeah, over 90% of them are new customers. So it's a great
Oh, there
customer
you go.
acquisition channel and so much cheaper than running ads, right? So much cheaper than
Oh
Meta.
yeah.
I think all of us since the iOS updates have all had a lot of woes there on
Yeah.
how expensive it is, for that CAC. And so yeah, so we've seen some really great ROI there. But our repeat is about 33%. Where that's one of the difficulties for our business is that we're actually too sustainable and too good for the planet. We're not consumable enough because we have these products like our underwear that can last, several years and replaces pads.
Oh wow. Yeah.
But however, where there's a lot of white spaces, we have a really big, addressable market. And that's because you're talking about 50% of the population that
Hmm.
menstruates or will menstruate at some point. And then our underwear can be used for all phases of life. So not just periods, but for bladder leaks, for daily wetness, and sweat, for working out, and then even for postpartum bleeding. And so you look at the phases of a woman's life from puberty all the way through postmenopause, and our products solve that. And so it is what we lack in repeat, we make up for in market size, I'd say.
Yeah. What would you say is working the best for you right now? Is it TikTok or is it a different channel?
TikTok works well. Meta, we still see efficiency there. We always want to drive that efficiency up. But overall, it's word of mouth. It's anything we can do
Yeah.
to push on social media. We've always been huge on social. We are, 80% of our traffic is on mobile. And so it's just the organic word of mouth traffic. Anything
Yeah.
we can do to push that always drive us forward.
Are you leaning in on anything else organic, like from an SEO perspective, anything along those lines?
Oh, I should mention SEO. SEO has been a huge win for us. We used to pay an
Oh, there you
agency,
go.
the big bucks, right, to drive up our SEO, and then we brought it in house. We really learned that skill. We utilize
Nice.
AI. We utilize a lot of AI with SEO, and we're also focusing on SEO within AI, and it's been working well for us. We've I think increased our keyword rankings by I can't say the percentage, but we have increased
A
drastically
lot.
top 10 of the keywords. I know. I'm
Yeah.
like, if my marketing director was right here, he would give us the numbers, but that's been a huge win for us. It saved us money and bringing it in house. I think that anything that you have as a core competency needs to be brought in house. The other thing working
I
really
would
well
totally
for us
agree.
is that we established from the beginning that to be successful, we had to have real humans who could help people with success with their products that were here US based. We have a very stellar customer experience team who just gets rave reviews. We have a really high NPS score. And it's one of our biggest superpowers is that we're known in the reusable industry as the leader, the market leader, and the one to turn to with questions. Other brands, customers will actually turn to Saalt to ask their questions about products because they know that we have real humans. And we know that we are very very helpful and that we truly want to see their success. So customer experience is another area.
Yeah, that one to me is such an obvious no-brainer of like the businesses that really invest in customer service are always the ones that are so much further ahead of the curve that their customers love, and then they just start talking about it all the time, and that's really what brings it in. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Did anything not work? Like, did you try anything and you're like, this just didn't work for us?
Influencers.
Really?
Influencers, well, and you think that with word of mouth, like influencers would be huge. So
Yeah.
affiliates work for us. So pay to play, that works well
Uh-huh.
for us. But the times where we've paid influencers to do campaigns, it has been so hit and miss. Like I said, we'll pay thousands of dollars for posts and see nothing on it. And then, a micro influencer who just posts and all we do is piggyback with the coupon code, to their followers and so forth.
Hmm.
If they're posting organically, that works. So we focus more on gifting than paying influencers. We've never seen direct ROI from anything that we've paid for.
Yeah. Bummer. Yeah, I hear that's not wildly uncommon either. I know it's interesting on how well they do. Were you primarily just doing the ones where you're just like paying the influencers, or are you doing like seeding or both?
It was paying the influencers. That's what we did in
Yeah.
the past, and we stopped that strategy, and instead, then we just do gifting, and then we do have a strong affiliate program. So anytime we have affiliates, like I said, pay to play works well for us. Anytime we do that, listicles, whether it's coming from PR outlets or whether it's coming from individuals, that
Yeah.
always has ROI.
I'll drop all the marketing stuff now, so we don't have to bother your marketing director.
Oh,
But
that's great. I
the
love it. I'm in marketing, so
one of the so everyone who is on the show, everyone who listens knows that like we kind of ask you a little bit about yourself ahead of time, so we've got some information. And one of the things that you provided us, you said that you don't believe in a work-life balance and that you practice
Mm.
work-life integration. And I was just like, oh, I've got to hear this out because this is always really interesting, right? Because we get to talk about the business, but then it's also just the entrepreneur approach of how you decide to live your life because it's always a slog. It's a very interesting choice that we all made here. So tell me about that because I'm sure a lot of people wildly disagree.
Yeah, so I'm a mom of 6 kids, and I was pregnant, right, running
Wow.
this business for the past 7 years and pregnant with my last one, so I was a pregnant CEO at one time, and so this is an area where I've had to be really, really deliberate and be really good at managing my time because, when we first started the business, I was mostly an at-home mom, doing freelance work. I was a technical writer, so I would help write textbooks and I would do these, e-commerce ventures, but I was never at the forefront of the company like I am now. And so
Mhm.
I went through a period where I failed, right? I failed at the work life balance and had to figure out, okay, how can I make this work? So it doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from experience, and that failure is the best teacher. And I would just feel so much mom guilt because I believed in this principle of work life balance, which is to me it's a myth because it conveys that you can have equal balance in work and personal life, and it kind of I think just by the nature of the term and the nature of how people talk about it,
Mhm.
it encourages people to try to find that equal balance where they kind of turn off work and then focus on personal, and that just doesn't work as an entrepreneur. And I remembered I had this pivotal moment when I went to a women's conference. I was feeling a lot of mom guilt because I was in the office a lot more and I wasn't really sure how I had young children and wasn't giving them the time they deserved. And I had somebody in the audience was asked about work-life balance, and they said something similar, like, oh, I don't believe in work-life balance, but they said, also, your kids are the luckiest kids in the world to be seeing a mom who's an entrepreneur. They all have to learn how to manage their careers and manage their home life if they want to be a career woman. And you're exemplifying that for them. That's so lucky. And I was like, oh, and that completely shifted the perspective for me. I was like, wow, they are lucky. I need to figure this out. I need to model this behavior for my children, because if not, they're going to experience the same mom guilt that I was experiencing. And
Yeah.
so what I think about work-life integration is making work work for your life and integrating it fully. So there's examples of how we do that. So the first thing that I've done is I have a very strong morning routine. I just did it this morning, but I give the first 90 minutes of my day to just invest in myself, having a full cup, right? And I'm a strong Christian as well, so strong relationship with God. And I've really outlined what are the most important things to me. Well, it's my relationship with God, it's my health, it's my family, it's my contribution to the world, and then it's my talents and things that I like. And I deliberately put together morning routine, and I have a whole checklist on a spreadsheet of what I do each day to find fulfillment in those areas. And I start my day with a full cup before I even touch work. And then the next thing that I do is when I do touch work, I devote my first 2 hours of the day, I call my power hours, to the most important things that are going to help my work progress forward. I don't look at anything reactive, don't look at email, right? It's only, those most important goals that you're pushing forward for the business. And what that does is that it creates this, uh, it's just incredible steps forward every single day in all of the most important things. And you start your day with your cup filled. And then it doesn't matter how the rest of the day goes. There's so many fires that go out with when you're an entrepreneur, right? The buck
Hmm.
stops with you, and the crazy things that happen. I could tell you stories, but then it doesn't matter how that goes, because you've already accomplished the most important things. And in other ways, work-life integration shows up. We went to Sri Lanka to go visit our underwear manufacturer. And we said, well, we could go alone, my husband and I, and have to find babysitters, or we could take our kids and give them an incredible experience. And the manufacturers thought we were nuts. They're like, I was pregnant too, 5 kids with you. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to go take them to ride elephants. We're going to go surfing. We're going to go have them try all these new foods. It was an incredible experience. We've taken them to Taiwan. They went to Nepal with me to go teach about cups,
It's awesome.
for our impact mission. And they have had the most incredible upbringing because of that, because we've integrated them into our life and said, this is how we're going to make it work so that we don't have any regrets.
Yeah. So cool. I love the morning routine thing. Really got me. I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense, and I should probably start doing that.
Oh,
That makes a
it's,
ton of sense.
yeah.
I love it.
There's a really
Cherie,
good book called Miracle Morning. Really simple book, like the simplest book you can read, and that was game changing for me. Another book that helps you in that process is called Essentialism by Greg McKeown. Those 2 books, I think, helped me more in my shaping my morning routine than anything else.
I'm checking them out.
All
This
right.
was eye opening. Cherie, I really appreciate everything. This was awesome. I'd love to give you the floor, tell everyone where they can find out more about you, and of course, more about Saalt.
Yeah, so we're at Saalt.com. That's Saalt with 2 A's. You can also find us on Amazon. You can find us in Target stores, and you can find us on all social media at SaltCo.
Love it. Cherie, thank you so much for being on the show. Everyone else who tuned in, thank you as well. Please make sure you do the usual thing, rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff on whichever podcast platform you prefer, or head over to the ecommshow.com to check out all of our previous episodes. But as usual, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the E-Comm Show. Head over to ecommshow.com to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on the BlueTuskr YouTube channel. The E-Comm Show is brought to you by BlueTuskr, a full-service digital marketing company specifically for e-commerce sellers looking to accelerate their growth. Go to BlueTuskr.com now for more information. Make sure to tune in next week for another amazing episode of the E-Comm Show.